I think that we talk a lot about the past. A lot of your identity comes from your past, right? But if you want to change your identity, you should start by trying to change what you see in your future.
If you believe you'll be wealthy, you'll feel worthy of wealth, you'll think a lot about money, you'll say that you're going to be wealthy, which will leak into what you do, which you'll learn about money.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, weekly Next Level University Meetup Monday. For week number 65, the power of identity and how to shift it. So Alan was just mentioning the importance of identity. I'm reading a book right now called This Is Marketing by Seth Godin. We've talked about this before. So when you think of Starbucks versus Dunkin' Donuts, you might be saying, like, what does that have to do with your identity? The identity of somebody who goes to Starbucks is vastly different than the identity of somebody who goes to Dunkin' Donuts. So we're in Massachusetts. I believe Dunkin's started in the Northeast. Dunkin' Donuts was marketed to construction workers, to people, blue-collar workers, people that were busy and didn't really care about the super high quality. Starbucks, people with money, people with extra time, and people who wanted the experience. Right? So the identity of somebody who goes to Starbucks might be completely different than the identity of somebody who goes to Dunkin' Donuts. The first time I ever went to Starbucks, I was like, wow, I am fancy now.
Oh, yeah.
So just
absolutely.
a little story.
And by the way, a little side note real quick before we dive into identity. A brand is the identity of a business.
Ooh.
Like Nike, they honor amazing athletes, so that's their identity. And so Nike has a different feel. They say different things, do different things. It's all going to make sense after this keynote. Okay, so the very first thing we want to do is give some context on why identity actually matters. So identity is what you believe about yourself, what you feel, what you think about yourself, what you say to yourself, what you don't say to yourself, what you do and what you don't do, and then the results that you get. And so we're going to go through this, what we call the identity cycle. It's got 6 steps, and we're going to give you examples of each. The very first step, and if you are not in a car, you can write this down. The first step is belief. Okay, what do you believe about yourself? Do you believe you're intelligent? Do you believe you're good looking? Do you believe you're in shape or out of shape? Do you believe that you can do anything you set your mind to? Do you believe that you're unintelligent? Do you believe that you're unattractive? So all of these beliefs, we have a saying that we say often, which is all behavior is belief driven. Anyone listening to this right now, either on the podcast or live, believes that this is a valuable use of their time.
Hopefully,
yes. But you wouldn't be here if you didn't believe that. So what do you believe about yourself? That's the first piece. So you've probably heard me tell a story before, but there was a little baby elephant, and it was an elephant that was at a circus. And the trainer of the elephant put a rope around this elephant's neck and put a big stake in the ground. And the little baby elephant tried so hard for years, or not years, but probably weeks, to get out, to escape. And they tried and they tried and they tried. And eventually they realized, I'm not strong enough to pull this giant stake out of the ground. Now, 10, 20, 30 years later, it's a huge, massive adult elephant with that same stake that it could easily rip the whole tent down if it wanted to. But it doesn't. And the reason it doesn't is because it believes that it's still that little baby elephant. It's been conditioned to believe that it can't get free. Because when it was a little baby elephant, it couldn't. And I think that all of us on some level are that little baby elephant. And our goal on this meetup is to help you understand, like, there are patterns that you are running of what you feel, what you think, what you say, what you do, and what you believe that are old patterns that are no longer serving you. Yeah, maybe at one point you weren't great at math. Is that still true? Maybe at one point you weren't that intelligent. Is that still true? Maybe at one point you had an awkward phase. I did. I remember in 7th and 8th grade, I was super awkward. I got red-faced. I was shy. Maybe there was a time when you were shy. Maybe there was a time when you were unattractive. Is that still true? And even if it is that the belief you really want? How much is that belief holding you back? Okay, so the first thing, again, belief. We're all that little baby elephant still, and we want to help you grow into that elephant that's more powerful.
I want to give you a chance to prime your mind. I'm going to ask you after I tell my story about how do you change your beliefs. Okay. So I was having a conversation with somebody recently, and this person opened up to me about their relationship. And they said, look, I don't know that the person I'm with is the person I want to be with forever. I hear that often. Alan hears that often. I don't know that this person is the best for my future. I'm not sure if I'm settling. And I said, okay, well, let's talk about it. Why are you with this person? And why aren't you out there testing the waters? Like, what are you afraid of? And this person said to me, honestly, I don't believe I can attract my dream partner. Most of my life, I've just had women come into my life. Like, I feel like I've just gotten lucky. So this person did not believe that they were capable of getting out there. They didn't believe that they were capable of having a good conversation with a potential mate. They didn't believe that they were worthy of that love. They didn't believe that they were good with women. And this person is very, very talented, very, very successful, a very good-looking person, like very well put together. From the outside looking in, it's like, of course you could do all those things. My belief in this person was completely different than their belief because I didn't have any of their limiting ones. So that's in their identity. Now, this is super important to understand why the help of a coach is so valuable, because a coach doesn't see your limiting beliefs. They see your identity from the external and they can help you shift it. But where are you holding yourself back, like Alan said, with those beliefs? This person could have gotten any relationship they wanted. They didn't believe that. You might be able to get any job you want, but not if you don't believe that. You could have so many new experiences, new opportunities, but if you don't believe it, if within your identity is the lack of belief, you're probably also going to experience the lack of results. Alan, how do you build belief in your identity?
So when you had asked me to prime my mind, I actually thought about it.
I gave you a little bit of a cheat code.
Yeah, you did. I
That was
appreciate
pretty
that.
kind.
It was.
It was pretty kind.
It was very kind. It's this cycle that we created, the identity cycle. And we're going to give you, and we're going to go deep on each layer, but if you're out there, I'll give you all 6 steps. The first one is belief. The second one is feelings. The third one is think. The fourth one is say, what you say. The fifth one is what you do. The sixth one is what you see. In other words, the results you get. What do you observe? And so when you said, how do you change your identity? How do you shift your identity? It really is changing any one of these. Any one of these. You can change what you believe, and that will change what you feel. That'll change what you think. That'll change what you say and what you do. It'll change what you don't do. It'll change what you don't say. It'll change your results, and it'll change what you see. So imagine someone who believes that they're intelligent. Now they feel intelligent. They think intelligent thoughts. They say intelligent things, and they do intelligent things, and they get intelligent results. Now they believe even more that they're intelligent. And so how do you shift your identity? How do you shift your beliefs? I believe was the original question. All of these shift your beliefs. When you have a down day and you feel terrible because you were hungover or maybe you're sick, the way you feel affects what you believe about yourself. It affects what you believe you can and can't do that day. If you're feeling like crap about yourself, you're most likely not going to go get an amazing workout unless you can override that feeling and then go do something. So how do you change your beliefs? Everything you feel, think, say, do, and see all leaks into your beliefs. And your beliefs leak into what you feel, think, say, do, and see. So the next example here is I have a donut versus a great workout. This comes from feeling. Again, step 2. Step 1 was belief. Step 2 is feelings. Okay, eating a donut makes you feel good. You get a dopamine hit, you get a sugar high. It feels good, it tastes good. But it doesn't make you feel good about yourself. Identity is how you feel about yourself. Do you feel like a proud person? Do you feel like an athlete? Or do you feel like someone who's lazy and gluttonous? See, those are 2 very different feelings. So eating a donut might feel good, it might feel pleasurable, but it doesn't necessarily make you feel good about yourself. Versus a great workout. Who here has ever had a great workout and felt amazing afterwards? Okay, so that person who feels great also feels great about themselves, because that's a feeling of I'm self-disciplined. I keep the promises I make to myself. I have high self-esteem. See, it starts to leak into everything else. So there's a big difference between feeling good because you're eating a donut versus feeling good about who you are.
So if you've listened to this show, you realize that I feel fear when it comes to flying. Alan and I we're going to Colorado on the 20th. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Nick Cavuto for inviting us out there for his event. I feel a ton of fear when it comes to flying, but I had this realization earlier. I told Alan this and I told Taryn this the other day. part of my identity is something that I joke about a lot. I talk about my fear of flying. Every time it comes up, you guys literally hear me say, like, I hate planes. I hate sharks. That fear, that feeling of fear has become my identity. The more I talk about it, the worse that fear/feeling is going to get. So if you've ever said, I'm terrible with money, I feel like I'm terrible with money, you're actually getting worse with money. I feel like I'm a terrible driver. That's part of your identity. That's how you identify, and you're probably taking actions and having beliefs like that. I'm so sure of this. Like, when it comes to feeling a certain way, this is where people get gypped. Particularly me. I feel a tremendous amount of fear with planes that's always running through my head. And I think I joke about it because I don't want everybody else to know how I feel. I wonder if that's where my sense of humor comes from. Do you think?
I think you want to make a fun and enjoyable thing out of something that is painful, probably.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
So where do you have feelings that affect your identity? It could be feelings of not enoughness. It could be feelings of not belonging. There's so many. But like Alan said, most of these things in your identity come from your past, or they could come from you predicting your future and who you have to become in order to achieve what you want.
So the third one is think. What do you think about yourself? Do you think you're, again, intelligent? Do you think you're good at math? Do you think you're good at English? Do you think you're good at tennis? What do you think about yourself? Do you think you're shy? Do you think you're outgoing? Do you think you're an introvert, or do you think you're an extrovert? See, what you think about yourself, there's a great quote by Emerson where he says, the ancestor to every action is a thought. Do you think you're a strong communicator, or do you think you are bad at speaking to groups? Because those are leaking into your actions. If you think you're bad at speaking to groups, you won't speak to groups, so you'll stay bad at speaking to groups because you didn't practice it, right? So what do you think about yourself? Here's my example. I remember I had a lot of people in high school who I believe are super intelligent, and one of them in particular, and I'll keep it anonymous, said, I'm not smart enough to get into WPI. WPI was the school that I went to. You needed a certain SAT score. You also needed certain grades in school, especially in math, in order to get in. And this person didn't think that they were smart enough. So they probably didn't put in the extra work. Because if you don't think you're smart enough to go to WPI, why would you even try? Why would you even apply? If you don't think you're smart enough to get in, why would you even do the application? Why would you go to the interview? Why would you even take the SATs? Right? So these things change our life. Our entire decision-making paradigm is surrounded by how we think and how we feel and what we do and what we believe and what we say and don't say and what other people say about us. So do you think you're not smart enough? And if so, why? Where does that come from? Is it even true? Instead, trade it for, I'm not smart enough yet. What if that person had said, I'm not smart enough to get into WPI yet, but I'm going to do better. I'm not smart enough to get a 600 on my math SATs yet, but I'm going to study harder. I'm going to hire a tutor. I'm going to hire a mentor. See, what we say, think, do, feel, and believe changes our entire life, but we don't talk about it enough. We don't think about it enough. We don't contemplate it enough.
I believe all of what you said.
I appreciate that.
I just missed the mark to get into WPI. It was a couple points off on my SATs.
Couple points, yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you get on your SATs?
I don't know. What's a good score?
800
That's perfect score?
on math, yeah.
I probably got about half that, maybe.
Solid.
I don't remember.
Solid.
I don't remember.
I did poorly on the English part.
I think I probably did better in English than math. Math is not my strong suit. So, I believe that there's... Go ahead.
That's a story you're telling
That
yourself.
is. It's part of my identity.
Yet. Math is not your strong suit yet.
That's valid. I'm good at mental math. Also part
True.
of my identity.
True.
But other things like formulas, not for me. I'll leave that up for you. That and spreadsheets. I believe there are 3 types of people. So you might be, well, you're one of these people. Alan and I, one of our core values is humility. We love people who are very, very humble. So the 3 types of people. 1, they are willing to work for what they believe they are capable of getting. 2, they're entitled. They believe they deserve something regardless of what they do. And this is the 3rd one, and this is something that I've come to realize. There are people who don't think that they deserve anything. Like, part of their identity is, I'm the type of person who doesn't belong. I don't deserve this. I'm not worthy of this. So think about it from this frame. If you were to join a team, what type of person are you? What is your identity? Are you the type of person who is super humble and you feel like you have to work for every single thing that you get? When we were bringing new people onto the team, shout out to Brandon, we did an interview with Brandon. And we said, hey, you seem like a really good dude. Like, talk to us about yourself. What do you do? What are you really good at? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And he said, honestly, and he was unreasonably humble, and he wouldn't mind us sharing this. He said, honestly, I don't really feel like I'm great at that much, but I'm willing to grind my face off and work really hard. Now, the fact that he said I'm not great at that much, that means he's humble. He's actually very good at being humble. Alan and I talked after. I'd rather you come in here and say, like, look, I don't know that I have a ton of specific skills, but I'm willing to work really hard. I'm willing to be a team player. I'm willing to pick up the slack where needed. I'm willing to be a good person, right? That right there is a unique strength. But on the other end, there are people who think that they are entitled to your time, your attention, a certain level of service, whatever it may be. Now that's holding them back. And then the third type of person, they probably had something bad happen to them in their past, and they're now convinced that they're not worthy of anything. And that identity, all of these identities, you're going to attract that into your life. So if you have the identity of somebody who's humble and is never quit, I always show the wrong arm, and they are willing to work for it, they're going to fit in really, really well. They're going to get different opportunities. They're going to be valued on a team. Okay, if somebody who is super entitled comes on the team, they're going to assume they're the best. They might assume that they're going to get special treatment. They're going to assume that they're going to get the finest results, and they might not get those. And then the third type, if they assume that they're not worthy at all, they're probably not going to last very long. They're probably not going to have very high standards. Their expectations of themselves aren't going to be very high. You can see how either of those, or is it either when it comes to three? Any of those three identities can really set you up for either success, failure, or pain, depending on which one you adopt.
What you just described was the drive to 5, but the 10, the 0 in the middle.
That's valid, yeah.
So the 0 doesn't believe they're worthy of anything, doesn't believe in themselves, doesn't feel worthy, doesn't think worthy thoughts. The 10 feels entitled, believes they're worthy of everything, regardless of the work. But the 5, the person who's humble but also confident, believes, okay, like Brandon, I may not have a ton of skills yet, but I'm willing to work hard and I know I can develop them. See, that's 5. That's centered. That's the identity you want. And so I've been starting to talk a lot about the uncomfortable truth.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bianca Thomas. I am the host of the Why Power podcast, and I'm also a client of both Kevin and Alan. I had the absolute pleasure and honor and honestly the blessing of meeting both of these extraordinary men at the beginning of their journey, you know, when the Hyperconscious podcast was just at its beginning. And to keep it short and sweet, these two guys have completely changed my life. Because of them, I've been able to really learn how to love myself, to express myself, to go past my fears and have the courage to do things that I never thought I would have done, like having my own podcast. I'm a little over time, but I just want to say, you know, if there's anyone out there who wants a coach, who wants help, who wants two people to lean on, it's these two guys. They are rare, extraordinary men, and I'm so lucky to have them in my life.
And I used to call it the naked truth. That didn't really work for a while. And I gave that analogy. I used to call it the hard truth or the brutal truth. I don't like those. I like uncomfortable truth. The uncomfortable truth is basically, it's the part of you that, like, okay, I don't feel that good about myself, but I'm gonna start doing things and saying things that make me feel better. I'm gonna choose in advance to believe that I'm worthy. And that doesn't mean I'm going to get entitled, but I'm going to choose in advance to do things that make me worthy. I'm going to earn being in shape. I'm going to earn that degree by studying hard. I'm going to earn that intimate relationship by treating my partner with kindness and respect and with love. See, wanting to earn it is so, so, so important. And I mean, think about it. There's probably, I don't know, there's hundreds of books about identity. And every single one of them comes down to this one simple principle of identity is what you believe about yourself. Every single one of us believes something different about ourselves. Are you good at writing? Everyone ask themselves that right now. Are you good at writing? Okay, what's your answer, Kev?
Not yet.
Not yet.
It would have been no initially.
It would have. Okay. I would say I am now, but I never used to believe that. And now I believe that I am. So your answer to questions tells so much about what you believe about yourself. Are you an athlete?
Yes.
Okay. I say yes as well. Just examine your identity throughout all this. Everything we're saying, these examples are all great, but at the end of the day, it's all of these. And all that really matters is that you contemplate what you've started to believe about yourself. Think of it like the Earth's core. The Earth's core is the hottest part. The results you see are the surface of the Earth. But the Earth's core, the hottest part, is what you believe. If you believe you'll be wealthy, you'll feel worthy of wealth, you'll think a lot about money, you'll say that you're going to be wealthy, which will leak into what you do, which you'll learn about money, and then you'll eventually see those results. Whereas if you don't believe that you'll be wealthy, you'll probably never take any of those actions to get there. And that goes for being in shape, that goes for being an athlete, that goes for getting into the right school, that goes for your entire future. If you believe that your future is bright, you're most likely going to work toward a brighter future. If you believe that your past is better than your future, you're most likely going to feel hopeless. If you've ever been around someone who talks often about high school and the glory days, most likely they're talking about and thinking about the feelings of nostalgia from the glory days. They're not thinking about and feeling the future. Versus someone who's super future-oriented, who has self-belief, they're talking and feeling about how they're going to feel with the body of their dreams, how they're going to feel in their amazing relationship, how they're going to feel with their dream business. See, it's a very different, one of them's a cycle upward, one of them is kind of living in the past of their old identity. All right, so far we've got belief, we've got feelings, we've got thoughts, we've got what you say next. So, number 4, say. What do you say to yourself? What do you say to others about yourself? Do you say, I am shy? Do you say I'm outgoing? Do you say I'm a partier? Do you say I'm an athlete? Do you say I'm a nerd? How have you labeled yourself? Are you a martial artist? Are you a fighter? Are you timid? Are you audacious? Right? Only you can know for you what your answers were in your own heart, in your own mind. So the example I had for this is Kevin has always considered himself the funny kid.
Somewhat, I would say.
And definitely. You definitely are.
I appreciate that.
But at some point, I don't know when, but you decided that being funny was valuable and valued, and you started doing it. And then you got good at it. You watched, I watch movies all the time, and Kevin's seen like every comedy.
Just that's about it, though.
Right.
I've never seen Shrek. I've never seen whatever the movies the kids are talking about nowadays.
Can you go into, and you'll notice this too on the podcast if you're a long-term listener, like Kevin has seen almost every comedy.
I've seen many, yeah.
So in hindsight, based on identity, why do you think that is?
I think that, I don't know, I don't think I always felt super valuable, and I feel like making people laugh feels really good. And if you make people laugh, you can be the center of attention in a very specific and unintimidating way. I think you feel comfortable in most situations. Honestly, think about it this way. If I'm in the room with you and I don't know, somebody else very intelligent, and I feel like I don't know that I can line up with this intelligence, I can almost guarantee I'll be funnier. Because I think it's something you learn over the years. Like I've been practicing it and obviously I'm not a stand-up comedian or anything like that, but I just kind of know what works. I know what facial expressions work. I know how to pause the right way.
So you've worked on it.
I've worked on it a lot, consciously.
Okay.
I
Why
take
do you
pride
think that
in it.
is?
I think I get pleasure out of seeing other people laugh.
Yeah.
A good laugh. Like there's
The
nothing
best.
like a good laugh. We had some good laughs today.
Yeah.
We had some good laughs the other day, so much in fact that we almost bombed our entire episode.
Yeah.
And then Alan had to yell at me in a nice way.
In a nice way.
But I think it's probably a coping mechanism.
Everyone out there listening right now, think about your comfort zone. Being funny for Kevin is in his comfort zone. Me trying to be funny, you probably know I'm not that great at it. And sometimes I do okay. Not that great at it yet.
Classic.
Not that great at it yet. Here's a thought. What have you decided in advance to become? Have you ever seen that meme online where it's the little kitty looking in the pool of water? And
now that I'm a cat dad, I'm a huge fan of that. I might even get it put on the wall.
It's good stuff, right?
Good stuff.
So there's a little kitty looking into a puddle of water, and it's seeing a tiger.
Tiger, yeah.
Like a grown tiger. Everyone out there, have you decided in advance what identity to embody? And here's another question. We didn't plan on this, but like Superman and Clark Kent, which one is the real identity? What if you've been pretending to be Clark Kent when in reality you're Superman or Superwoman? I remember Kevin texted me a long time ago when we first started hanging out again, and he said, I feel like Superman in the gym, but I feel like Clark Kent in real life. I'm not confident. And I said, Kev, it makes sense. You've been to the gym for a decade. You spend a lot of time in the gym. You're very competent there. Maybe you don't feel as confident outside the gym because maybe you're not as competent yet. I should have said yet. I didn't. But everyone out there ask themselves that tough question of like, where's my comfort zone? Maybe being intelligent is comfortable for you, but being funny is not. Maybe being funny was a defense mechanism and it got you comfortable because you didn't feel intelligent. And so the only question here isn't what is your identity, and like it's basically what do you want it to be? Is your identity with all this contemplation what you want it to be? I never decided in advance to be funny.
I did.
If I did, I bet you I'd be funnier. Of course I would.
Or what if I said something one time that was funny? Somebody said, "Oh my God, you're so funny," and then that became my identity, and I didn't decide, and then I just had to upkeep it. You know what I'm saying?
That is fascinating.
It's pretty profound. Not bad for the funny kid.
Yeah. I see what you did there.
Oh, I just want to. Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you sir?
Yeah.
I just want to take people behind.
Are you sir?
Are you sir? I want to take people behind the curtain. When our Wi-Fi jeffed or whatever, and the camera froze, you'll always see this. And I want to be able to. I want to do this because I can take you behind the scenes of what's actually happening. Notice my first thing is go to funny. Always laugh. I'd rather laugh about it than freak out. Mm-hmm. It's just the way I'm wired.
Which has really saved us in business, honestly, because there's a lot of things that have gone wrong.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun.
I have a question. I have a question for you after you're done drinking that water. When you introduce yourself, how do you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I would say I'm Alan. I'm a podcaster, a speaker, and a business consultant. Yeah, a lot of times we say I am what we do for a living.
Yes. I had a client who's a podcaster. And I said, when you meet people, do you tell them you're a podcaster? And she said, honestly, no. And I said, you should. Like, you have to start because when you say it, you're going to take it way more seriously.
Right.
If you notice, the first line of most people's Instagram bio is they're saying what they do. So I help busy CEOs and entrepreneurs start, grow, and monetize their podcasts. That's who I am. That's my identity. A lot of people do that, so you'll start seeing that. And if you're a business owner or you do coaching, put that as your first line. So you can tell a lot about somebody and their identity by what they say about themselves. Alan and I have been coaching for a long time, and you start to see trends. And I know Alan has spoke about that. But I had a client who every time we literally had like a cancellation thing of like, if you say something negative, I want you to reframe. Because she would always say, I know this is a stupid question, but I know you don't want to coach me, but I know that I'm not doing well, but I know I'm living below my standards, but all of those negative things are working in her identity. Now, where she got those could be from anywhere, but my job was to help her shift her identity by just saying like, that's not true. That's not true. That's false, right? That's all it is at the end of the day. The stories we tell ourselves about ourselves become our reality. And we also start to allow different things into our life. So if you're telling yourself you're not good enough, you're going to accept people into your life that you shouldn't. That becomes your identity, right? I could identify by saying I am bad at relationships. I always attract toxic people into my life. Now, I don't. I'm very blessed. But I also don't say that. I started saying, and we talked about this earlier, journaling. What is journaling? It's what you say to yourself about yourself. So if you're out there right now and you want to shift your self-talk, start journaling in the future like you already have it. So I was journaling that I had my dream relationship a year before I reconnected with Taryn. I was journaling that I had a successful podcast agency a year before NLPS was even a thing. That's what I was saying to myself. I was saying that to myself, and those things came true. Now, they didn't come true just because I was saying them to myself, but when I said them, it helped me become it, and now I have the results.
Have you ever seen that Jay Shetty thing where he took siblings that were really close and had them write down all the things they say to themselves?
I don't think I have.
Then he brought in their sibling and said, I want you to, so one of them was like, I'm not pretty, I'm ugly, I suck, I'm not smart. And he said, I want you to say that to your sibling.
Jay Shetty is, if anybody knows him, we'd love to have him on.
And every single person was like, I would never say that to her. I love my sister. I love my brother. It's interesting. This is the story. So identity is the story you tell yourself about yourself. It's what you believe about yourself. Everybody, let's do this for a second. What is something really negative that you say about yourself? And ask yourself, would you say that to your best friend? So what's something negative you've said about yourself?
Classic. How'd I know this was going to fall on me? I'm not smart enough, for sure.
Okay.
I feel like I don't have a ton of... Mine are kind of like the same. They're kind of on repeat.
I was in the car with Emilia not long ago, and she said, I think there's a record playing in the back of your head, and I don't think you should keep playing that record. I think all of us have that old record that we're playing of I am shy, I am whatever. If you scratch up a vinyl record, like scratch it up, it won't play the same way anymore. I think we just got to scratch up those beliefs. So Kevin's saying, I am not smart enough. Would you ever say that to Taryn?
No.
Right.
I might say you're not smart enough. Maybe you're not smart enough yet for what you want.
Right.
I think it's possible that you're not smart enough to get the result you want, but
yet.
I don't say yet.
Right.
To me, yeah.
Changes the whole saying when you say yet. So everyone out there, write down, what's one thing I've said to myself over and over and over again that's just not true? Or if it was true at one point, it's not true anymore. And get rid of that. Scratch that thing out, even if you have to draw an X on it. All right, so far we have what you believe about yourself, we have what you feel about yourself, what you think about yourself, what you say to yourself, what you do is next. Okay? What you do is actually determined by those other four. If you believe that you're an athlete, and you feel like an athlete, and you think like an athlete, and you say you're an athlete, of course you're going to do athlete things. You're going to exercise, for example. Okay? So I'm using an example of catching a bouquet. And if you're a man and you've ever tried to catch that garter thing at a wedding, if you told yourself that I'm shy, and if you feel like a shy person, and you think like a shy person, and you believe you're shy, what are the chances you're going to catch the bouquet? What are the chances you're going to want to catch the bouquet? If you've told yourself a story that you don't want to be the center of attention, you're most likely not even going to go for the bouquet. Have you ever seen it where the bouquet drops and no one wants to even grab it?
I told you, man, I'm not, I don't go to a lot of weddings.
Okay. I remember I was catching the garter and it like kind of fell into my left hand, and I wanted to give it to the person next to me, and he's like, no, you. Because I don't think that person probably was a shy person. They didn't want to have to put the garter, I think I'm saying it right, on the bride. I've never told myself that I'm a shy person. I don't think that I am. But I wonder, like, if I did, how much that would have held me back. If you say I'm a shy person, are you going to go up to that mentor and say, hey, would you be willing to jump on the phone? Are you going to be in sales? Are you going to sell your product or your service? So what you do is a vote for the type of person you want to become. That's a James Clear quote. So every time you go to the gym, you're casting a vote for being an athlete, for being athletic, for having high self-esteem. So what's the type of person you want to become, and then what do you need to do consistently to cast votes in that direction?
You've been to a Celtics game?
Oh, yeah.
You ever been to a hockey game?
Yeah.
You know how during like the intermissions or the break in between plays, they do like the camera on the people?
Yeah.
I always had the worst anxiety. I was like, don't you dare. Because
Really?
I was always like, what do I do with my hands? Like, do I flex? What am I supposed to do? That was part of my identity, is like being too shy to be on the cam, whatever it's called. So that shifted.
What about now?
Yeah, no, I'd love it. I don't know what I'd do with my hands still. I'd probably just go like, yeah, cool. All right, we're going to skip to the sixth one because we only have 2 minutes left. So C, what do you see? So I think that we talk a lot about the past. A lot of your identity comes from your past, right? But if you want to change your identity, you should start by trying to change what you see in your future. So I know a lot of people who see themselves on stage. A lot of people we've talked to see themselves on stage. Now, what does that mean? They're going to have to get rid of any fear they have of being shy. They're going to have to change their beliefs. They're going to have to change their feelings, what they think, what they say, what they do. They're going to have to change everything. But a lot of us are running from our pasts, right? That's where our identity comes from. I had to shift so much of my identity to get to where I want to in the future. Are you embodying the qualities that you need to accomplish what you want in your future? Is a very, very powerful question. AKA, what would the best version of me do here? Like, if you see it in the future, you have to become it today. I'll let you hammer quick, and then I want to tell my little thing at the end.
What you see in your environment growing up often determines what you believe about yourself. So, again, I'll just go back to in grade school. Let's say that you handed in an essay, and you got a big fat F, red F. And you see the F, and you determine, I must not be very good at writing. And then because you've determined that you're not good at writing, because you got an F, now you feel unworthy. You feel bad about yourself. You think you suck at writing. Now you start saying that to yourself, like, I'm good at math, but I suck at writing. Now you start avoiding writing because you think you suck. And now you keep seeing results that prove that to you. Of course you suck at writing. You never write. Nobody's good at first. So the environment we grow up in primes our mind for what we can and can't do, what we can and can't have in the future. And so if you grew up in a very wealthy environment, you most likely believe that you can get the car of your dreams. Whereas if you grew up in an environment that almost no one had a job they loved or a car they loved and everyone lived paycheck to paycheck, it might be a lot harder for you to really envision that future. But you might have other skills. You might have more grit. You might have more work ethic, right? So everybody's got to deal with this identity thing. And Kevin's going to give you a synopsis that connects all 6 steps. Again, what do you believe about yourself? What do you feel about yourself? What do you think about yourself? What do you say to yourself? What are you doing to reinforce that? And then what do you see for your future? What do you see from your past? What are you going to shift? And Kevin, take us away, man.
I remember when I was in high school, there was a place up by your house. It was supposedly a haunted cemetery. It wasn't. It was Aldrich Street, maybe? Almond Street? Whatever street it was.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Do you know the name of it?
It's actually on Chuckalug.
Oh, is it?
I believe so.
Well, I went there one time, hoping to see ghosts, and I didn't see any ghosts. So the wrap up here is ghosts. There's 2 types of people that believe in ghosts and people that don't. So if you believe in ghosts, say you go to a place that we went to, say you go to a haunted house, a prison that's known for it, you're probably going to feel the presence of ghosts. You're going to think you saw a ghost. When you leave, you're going to say, I saw a ghost. You're going to do things differently when you're in the dark, right? You might fear that, and you're probably going to actually see them. It's like this with anything, maybe religion or the law of attraction or whatever it is. If you believe in the law of attraction, you're going to feel guided by something beyond yourself. You're going to think that the universe is in your corner. You're going to say that I'm going to accomplish my goals because of karma or the law of attraction. You might do things that you wouldn't normally do because you feel like you're guided, or you might be safer, and you might see a brighter future for yourself. And that becomes part of your identity.
Strong work, man.
Did you like the ghost one or the law of attraction
I
one
like
better?
them both, and I think they're both super important.
If you had to pick one.
If I had to pick one, the ghost one probably was more relatable, but I like the law of attraction one better. I do.
The ghost one. For all those who believe out there, shout out to you of the ghosts.